Starting now, Commonalities, where guests find common ground through uncommon conversations. Politics, religion, finances, all the topics your grandmother told you not to discuss with friends. And now, your host, Matthew Dowling, and today's guests on Commonalities.
Well, thank you for tuning in to Commonalities. I'm Matt Dowling, your host, and today my guests will actually be members of the community that will be calling in to discuss a topic that we've been previewing for several days now on my Facebook page. And since we're talking about Facebook, I know a lot of you listen to the program through WMBS's Facebook page, but you can also look up my Facebook page. That's facebook.com/Matthew Dowling Public. And there's a variety of information. I repost news stories and ask questions that are relevant to the program. So make sure you look that up. Again, that's facebook.com/Matthew Dowling Public. And so I'm going to start out with just a brief intro of what we're going to talk about. Today we're talking about Alec Baldwin, and should Baldwin be charged for the fatal shooting that took place on the set of Rust. And I'm going to get to what the results on my Facebook page were from members of the community. But before I do that, I want to give you that call-in line, 724-438-4593. Again, we're talking about Alec Baldwin and should he be charged? He is going to be charged. But do you think it's right or wrong that he be charged? But before we do that, I was able to find a clip with the great journalist George Stephanopoulos. This is an exclusive interview that ABC did within the last year with Alec Baldwin about this situation. I think it lays a good groundwork and substance for our conversation today. So we'll be playing that as soon as my producer Bill here can bring it on.
It was the 12th day of their 21-day shoot.
That day, I did exactly what I've done every day on that movie.
Set the scene right before that happened. You're sitting in a pew in the church.
Right.
What's the scene supposed to be?
The scene is the two guys are there who have got me, cornered, and they think I'm shot pretty bad, and I'm kind of wilting, and they have a gun, and the sound outside distracts them. And I would draw the gun, cross-draw out of my holster, pull the gun up like that, and start to cock the pistol, cut. I'm handed a gun, and someone declares, they said, this is a cold gun.
Dave Halls?
The first AD. In my years on the sets of film, hot gun meant that there was a charge in there, and cold gun meant there was nothing in there. When he's saying this is a cold gun, what he's saying to everybody on the set is, you can relax. The gun is empty.
That's what cold gun means.
Well, cold gun means there's no charge in there. There could be dummy rounds.
A dummy round looks like a real bullet, but is completely inert. It contains no explosive charge.
And she says to me, hold the gun lower. Go to your right. Okay, right there. All right, do that. Now show it a little bit lower. And she's getting me to position the gun. Everything is in her direction. She's guiding me through how she wants me to hold the gun for this angle. And I draw the gun out, and I find a mark. I draw the gun out, I find a cut. And what's really urgent is the gun wasn't meant to be fired in that angle.
So if you're shooting directly into the camera lens, you're not aiming?
I'm not shooting into the camera lens. I'm shooting just off.
Just off?
Right, in her direction. I'm holding the gun where she told me to hold it, which ended up being aimed right in below her armpit, was what I was told. I don't know. This was a completely incidental shot, an angle that may not have ended up in the film at all. But we kept doing this, and so then I said to her, now in this scene, I'm going to cock the gun. And I said, do you want to see that? And she said, yes. So I take the gun and I start to cock the gun. I'm not going to pull the trigger. I said, do you see that? She goes, well, just cheat it down and tilt it down a little bit like that. And I cock the gun. I go, can you see that? Can you see that? Can you see that? And she says, and then I let go of the hammer of the gun and the gun goes off.
And he let go and the gun went off. So Alec Baldwin there was saying that he didn't even pull the trigger, that it was an accidental discharge from that firearm. But the question is, was it his responsibility? He had other individuals on set. Reading further in, I do understand he had an ownership role in the production company. So those were his employees. I would think that he would be responsible for them, not to mention just as a firearm user, I would think you would want to check that firearm for what was loaded, regardless of what the professional handlers had told you. Now, we do want to get your feedback today here on the program, so we're hoping you'll call in WMBS at 724-438-4593. We're talking about Alec Baldwin and what your thoughts are on should he have been charged in the fatal shooting that took place on that set of Rust. Now, on my Facebook page, facebook.com/Matthew Dowling Public, we had 326 people that actually took part in a poll that I ran over the last couple days, and we had you give a thumbs up if you felt that he should be charged, and the care emoji if you didn't think that he should. And the respondents online, again, that wasn't a huge group of people, but 326 people, presumably most of which are from the Fayette County area here. 88.9% felt that he should be charged and prosecuted for the crime. So that is an extremely large number, I believe, for the sample size there. Again, we're taking calls here today, 724-438-4593. And while we wait for your call, I think we're going to go to our first commercial break of the day.
Hello, Uniontown. Mayor Bill Gerke here. There's nothing quite like the feeling of home, that sense of belonging, those fall Friday nights under the lights, those winter nights in the gym watching our Red Raiders, those refreshing spring afternoons at Bailey Park rooting on our Red Raider softball and baseball teams. I am grateful for those memories and hope our community's children and grandchildren can enjoy those memories too. But to do that, we have to plan for the future. During my first term in office, the city has got Bailey Park back to a place where we can be proud of. Begun our city's first comprehensive plan in over 20 years. Started work on the city's section of the Sheepskin Trail. Worked on eliminating blighted properties and are rebuilding the city's neighborhoods. We've updated the faulty equipment in the parking garages, and we're bringing a more competitive, reliable, faster, and less expensive internet service to our city residents. We have done a lot, but there's still more to do. So I, Bill Gerke, am running for a second term. We're Uniontown proud, we're Uniontown strong, and together we can continue to rebuild Uniontown for the next generation.
Paid for by Mayor Bill Gerke.
When it comes to buying a home, what you see isn't exactly what you get. That's why home buyers should call Dave Dowling at Grandview Inspections at 724-208-4108. You'll see colorful flowers, freshly painted walls, granite countertops, gleaming hardwood floors, and other touches. What you can't see is the cracks, ancient plumbing, dangerous wiring, or broken appliances that might be revealed when you hire a home inspector. And when it comes to home inspectors, knowing yours has the qualifications and experience needed should be your number one concern. Dave Dowling with Grandview Inspections is an architectural engineer with over 30 years of commercial construction experience and hundreds of inspections under his belt. A home inspection is an opportunity for you to hire an expert to walk through the home and prepare a report outlining the home's major components, what needs immediate attention, and what will require maintenance after you move in. Your home is one of your biggest investments, so make sure your investment is everything you hoped it to be. Call Dave Dowling at Grandview Inspections at 724-208-4108.
Is your business using analog strategies in a digital marketing world? If so, then contact Matthew or Rebecca Dowling at Coordinated 360 for a professional consultation, where we bring in-depth knowledge and functional expertise with a holistic perspective. Coordinated 360 provides digital marketing, paid ad and media buying services, web design, social media management, video production, and more for businesses, organizations, and political campaigns. With decades of experience, Matt and Becky at Coordinated 360 can help you craft your unique message and share it with the world. For a no-risk media evaluation and recommendations, call 724-320-2212 or visit us online at www.coordinated360.com. Find us also on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, or email info@coordinated360.com.
Are you enjoying the program you're listening to? Support Commonalities and help keep us on the air by making a donation of $5, $10, or $25, or any amount you feel comfortable sharing online at donate.commonalities.online. Again, that is donate.commonalities.online on the World Wide Web. Buy our host a cup of coffee or help pay for airtime at donate.commonalities.online.
You're listening to Commonalities, where guests find common ground through uncommon conversations.
You're listening to Commonalities, and today we're discussing the charges that have been filed against Alec Baldwin in that fatal shooting that happened on the set of Rust. And we want to have an open telephone line to discuss that topic. Again, that number is 724-438-4593. And while we're waiting for your calls, Bill and I can get this conversation started. Not to mention, I have several hundred comments here on the Facebook page that I think we could discuss a little bit as well.
Speaking of Facebook, we are live streaming this on our WMBS Facebook page. And if someone would like to make a comment or ask a question, we will be able to take a look at that as well. So feel free to either call us at 724-438-4593 or, again, live on our WMBS Facebook pages. Now, weeding out some of the more outrageous comments, because they always seem to come with Facebook comments. What seemed to be the general tenor of the comments?
Well, like I said, 88.9% of the people, just by hitting one button to vote, said that he should be charged and he's responsible. So I was going through the comments and was actually looking for one that was in favor of Baldwin. So we kind of heard his side, since the court of public opinion seemed to be heavily in favor of charging him. And this one was from Pat. Pat said he was an actor who wasn't expected to be an experienced gun owner. The props gun was handed to him by an expert that assured him that it was a cold gun. The person who handed him the gun was solely and ultimately responsible for the accident. And then they say in all capital letters, that's why they hire prop masters and armors. The actor has no expectation of determining the safety of any prop, the ability to determine poisons, rig explosives, stage car accidents, or train animals. This will be laughed out of court, and the DA prosecuting this case is politically biased beyond the realms of common sense. And, my mind goes to that as well. I wonder, as I always remind people, I took public votes, so there's no question that I sit on the right side of the aisle. And I was the chairman of the Second Amendment Caucus here in Pennsylvania for a while. So that being said, I'm in favor of responsible gun ownership and think that people absolutely have that right. But I wonder how many people that would generally say, this was a preventable accident, but an accident all the same, and they're in favor of gun ownership. How many of them are holding past liberal opinions of Mr. Baldwin in their mindset when they're determining if he should be prosecuted or not? I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, Bill.
We had for instance, Joy Behar on The View, who proclaimed that Alex Baldwin is a target of the right wing because of his imitation of Donald Trump on Saturday Night Live and other positions that he's taken. But that being said, he's the producer of the movie. As I say many times, you sit in the big chair, you've got to take responsibility for what happens under your watch. And so, is he criminally liable? That's for the court to decide. Should he is he definitely responsible? Yeah, when it boils down to it, I would think so.
Absolutely. And again, if you have any interest in letting us know your thoughts, give us a call, 724-438-4593. Karen's Gates Miskovich on Facebook says exactly what you were pointing out, Bill. It is my understanding that Baldwin owned the movie production and set. He hired the gun handler and the director. The production was also having financial issues. The day before the shooting, they were having a good time with live rounds. I didn't see that I could substantiate that, although I've heard that rumor out in public comments in different places that they were firing live rounds on the set. What are live rounds even doing on a movie set? I think that would be a good question that Karen asks. And then Baldwin not only pulled the trigger and killed this lady, but he's also responsible for his employees, the director and the handler. So yes, I think he should be charged, found guilty, and serve time. And Karen's comment got over 26 likes or thumbs up. So I think people in general were reacting to her thoughts there.
I also heard somebody say that the ultimate irony is if the NRA had been on set, which they have done in the past, making sure that the guns are safely handled, this probably wouldn't have happened. But these people, they're supposed to know how to handle guns. That's a good question. Unless they had armed guards on the set, there shouldn't be any live ammunition at all.
Well, and if you are shooting on set or nearby set, I would think it would be in a range setting. I would understand why if you were acting with a firearm, you would want to know what the recoil, so forth, was on the gun. But I would think that you would just set up a range that is completely separate, and I wouldn't even do that on set. I would, employ the use of a shooting range, whether that be indoor or outdoor. I'm sure there's a facility not far from there where it could have been done, and keep the live rounds completely off the set of the movie.
Yeah, it's just not a good idea because things like this can happen. Movie sets are very chaotic places. They have a lot of people running around trying to do a lot of jobs, but like the old saying goes, if you're the gun handler, you have one job, and that is to make sure that the gun is handled safely. And again, Alex Baldwin is the producer. He has the hiring over these people. He has the responsibility. So at some point in time, he is going to have to answer this. Now, I understand there has been a civil settlement in this case. So what we're talking about here is an actual criminal indictment.
Yeah, and I think as far as the civil claims go, that should have been settled and taken care of, and from my understanding, it has been. But now we are looking at the criminal side of this, and we are again looking for your thoughts. If you want to call in, you're welcome. 724-438-4593. Like I said, this topic got a lot of attention on Facebook. Perhaps people are just tied up at this hour, but you are invited to call in. And before we go to our next commercial break, I'm just going to promo for a moment what Thursday's show will be about, Bill. Thursday, we're going to have someone who regularly sits here on this side of the desk. Kendall Sisler will be my guest for the show, and we are going to be talking about what some people refer to as cancel culture and also woke corporate actions and how that's affecting the business place. So that should be a fun topic that we play around with, and we actually brought that up because if you just recently saw M&M's decided that they are no longer going to be using the
cartoon characters.
The cartoon characters. I believe they call them spokes candies. They're not going to use the spokes candies anymore because they've become divisive. My question is, how do you hire a human, no matter how human that person is, let alone the actress that they hired, and expect them to not be divisive at all? But those are some of the things we're going to be discussing on Thursday's episode, and we will be taking calls as well then. Again, on the Alec Baldwin topic today, 724-438-4593. You're listening to Commonalities on WMES 590 AM 101.1 FM. We'll be back after these messages.
You're listening to Commonalities, where guests find common ground through uncommon conversations. We'll be back after this brief break to recognize our sponsors.
Is your business using analog strategies in a digital marketing world? If so, then contact Matthew or Rebecca Dowling at Coordinated 360 for a professional consultation, where we bring in-depth knowledge and functional expertise with a holistic perspective. Coordinated 360 provides digital marketing, paid ad and media buying services, web design, social media management, video production, and more for businesses, organizations, and political campaigns. With decades of experience, Matt and Becky at Coordinated 360 can help you craft your unique message and share it with the world. For a no-risk media evaluation and recommendations, call 724-320-2212 or visit us online at www.coordinated360.com. Find us also on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, or email info@coordinated360.com.
Hello, Uniontown. Mayor Bill Gerke here. There's nothing quite like the feeling of home, that sense of belonging, those fall Friday nights under the lights, those winter nights in the gym watching our Red Raiders, those refreshing spring afternoons at Bailey Park rooting on our Red Raider softball and baseball teams. I am grateful for those memories and hope our community's children and grandchildren can enjoy those memories too. But to do that, we have to plan for the future. During my first term in office, the city has got Bailey Park back to a place where we can be proud of. Begun our city's first comprehensive plan in over 20 years. Started work on the city's section of the Sheepskin Trail. Worked on eliminating blighted properties and are rebuilding the city's neighborhoods. We've updated the faulty equipment in the parking garages, and we're bringing a more competitive, reliable, faster, and less expensive internet service to our city residents. We have done a lot, but there's still more to do. So I, Bill Gerke, am running for a second term. We're Uniontown proud, we're Uniontown strong, and together we can continue to rebuild Uniontown for the next generation.
Paid for by Mayor Bill Gerke.
When it comes to buying a home, what you see isn't exactly what you get. That's why home buyers should call Dave Dowling at Grandview Inspections at 724-208-4108. You'll see colorful flowers, freshly painted walls, granite countertops, gleaming hardwood floors, and other touches. What you can't see is the cracks, ancient plumbing, dangerous wiring, or broken appliances that might be revealed when you hire a home inspector. And when it comes to home inspectors, knowing yours has the qualifications and experience needed should be your number one concern. Dave Dowling with Grandview Inspections is an architectural engineer with over 30 years of commercial construction experience and hundreds of inspections under his belt. A home inspection is an opportunity for you to hire an expert to walk through the home and prepare a report outlining the home's major components, what needs immediate attention, and what will require maintenance after you move in. Your home is one of your biggest investments, so make sure your investment is everything you hoped it to be. Call Dave Dowling at Grandview Inspections at 724-208-4108.
Are you enjoying the program you're listening to? Support Commonalities and help keep us on the air by making a donation of $5, $10, or $25, or any amount you feel comfortable sharing online at donate.commonalities.online. Again, that is donate.commonalities.online on the World Wide Web. Buy our host a cup of coffee or help pay for airtime at donate.commonalities.online.
Well, you are listening to Commonalities. I'm your host, Matt Dowling, and today we are discussing the criminal case and the liabilities against Alec Baldwin for that shooting that happened on the set of Rust. Bill and I have weighed in a little bit. We've read some of the comments that we have on Facebook. We on this program don't normally take calls, but we are willing to take your calls at 724-438-4593 today. And because we are kind of on the topic of taking calls and interacting with you, I wanted to make sure that you knew all the places you can find Commonalities. We release this show not just on WMBS here locally, but as a podcast. It is on all of the major podcast formats, including Spotify and iTunes. Also, I just became a contributor with babyboomer.org. They are a national group that deals with the issues that baby boomers are facing at this stage of life. And while I am not a baby boomer myself, I have provided services and opinions and so forth for that generation. So you can find some of my writings and my podcasts there as well. Also, www.matthewd, as in David, Dowling.com. You can find a lot of information about Commonalities, including all of the video versions and the audio podcast versions, as well as transcripts. And I also have a blog there, and I started writing last night and have to finish up today a blog post that I'm writing about Thursday's show. Again, we are promoting that today. Kendall Sister's going to be on with me. We're going to be taking some calls if we have time here in the WMBS studios. And it's at the same time after the news at 11 a.m. And what we're kind of basing the goal of Thursday's show, or the theme of Thursday's show on is the question, are American corporations too woke, or are they being held hostage by consumers, either by choice or by force? Corporate wokeness is becoming larger and larger here in the United States, and this mindset only continues to grow as the largest corporations are now weighing in on almost every policy issue that's out there. The problem with this is that some people say that it's increasingly landing in the left side, and then there's kind of counter-woke protests of companies. One thing I know for sure is, if we're living in a world where we're subject to cancel culture that can cancel things like candy-coated cartoon spokes candies, then I think we're getting into a problematic area. So again, that's going to be Thursday. Bill, you'll probably weigh in on Thursday, but any thoughts on that topic from you today?
We just had the example, too, of the Philadelphia Flyer who did not wear the Pride jersey for the morning skate, which was something the entire league is sponsoring. And he didn't make a big deal out of it. He just didn't skate that day. But eventually it came out that he had decided not. And it goes against, he's Russian Orthodox, and it goes against his religious beliefs. But you had a lot of the cancel culture there, people calling for him to be cut from the team and to, just lose his job, basically.
Yeah, and one of the things I want to get to on Thursday during that episode is that, cancel culture.
Yeah, when they came up with it, they didn't realize we'd have to say it out loud.
Yeah. So cancel culture, it cancels both directions, and I think that is something that we have to remember. Again, today's program, we've been talking about Alec Baldwin. Again, we're going to give that number one more time and go to what I believe is our last break for today's program, 724-438-4593. Final thoughts about Alec Baldwin here in our last few minutes of the show. You can call in and share those with us after these messages.
You're listening to Commonalities, where guests find common ground through uncommon conversations. We'll be back after this brief break to recognize our sponsors.
Is your business using analog strategies in a digital marketing world? If so, then contact Matthew or Rebecca Dowling at Coordinated 360 for a professional consultation, where we bring in-depth knowledge and functional expertise with a holistic perspective. Coordinated 360 provides digital marketing, paid ad and media buying services, web design, social media management, video production, and more for businesses, organizations, and political campaigns. With decades of experience, Matt and Becky at Coordinated 360 can help you craft your unique message and share it with the world. For a no-risk media evaluation and recommendations, call 724-320-2212 or visit us online at www.coordinated360.com. Find us also on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, or email info@coordinated360.com.
Hello, Uniontown. Mayor Bill Gerke here. There's nothing quite like the feeling of home, that sense of belonging, those fall Friday nights under the lights, those winter nights in the gym watching our Red Raiders, those refreshing spring afternoons at Bailey Park rooting on our Red Raider softball and baseball teams. I am grateful for those memories and hope our community's children and grandchildren can enjoy those memories too. But to do that, we have to plan for the future. During my first term in office, the city has got Bailey Park back to a place where we can be proud of. Began our city's first comprehensive plan in over 20 years. Started work on the city section of the Sheepskin Trail. Worked on eliminating blighted properties and are rebuilding the city's neighborhoods. We've updated the faulty equipment in the parking garages, and we're bringing a more competitive, reliable, faster, and less expensive internet service to our city residents. We have done a lot, but there's still more to do. So I, Bill Gerke, am running for a second term. We're Uniontown proud, we're Uniontown strong, and together we can continue to rebuild Uniontown for the next generation.
Paid for by Mayor Bill Gerke.
You're listening to Commonalities, where guests find common ground through uncommon conversations.
You are listening to Commonalities, and our topic today has been regarding the Alec Baldwin situation, that fatal shooting that happened on the set of the movie Rust. Like I said, Bill and I have weighed in. If you have any final thoughts on that topic, I know you guys have been extremely interactive through social media, leaving us your thoughts and voting in the polls that have been put up. But if you want to give us final thoughts on the radio, which will also be on the podcast, 724-438-4593. Again, we're talking about Alec Baldwin. And, over the break, for those of you that are watching the live stream, we were talking about insulated thermoses, and I just got a new one. I think my wife picked this up at TJ Maxx or someplace for under $10, but
worth
Bill,
every dime.
Yeah, but Bill has a nice name brand one, but I just have to comment on this. I'm drinking water from mine, and it's ice water. And I have a nice filtration system in my refrigerator, so I can just refill that But story of the day that kind of amazes me, because I'm a Disney fanatic, most people may not know that, was the fact that Splash Mountain closed down, and people were kind of, from what I understand, looting and trying to take whatever they could, and now they are selling Splash Mountain water on the internet for upwards of hundreds of dollars. For little bottles of commemorative water.
So what, did they take like a bottle
of
water?
You empty your cup and dip it in as you're going through. I would think cast members would probably stop you. But
how do they know it's got Splash Mountain water? Then again, how do we know?
I don't know, but there are televangelists that have made millions from selling water over the television stations. That are supposed to cure all kind of ailments, and I think it.
I got the water, and I got a check for $32,000.
And I'm sure that's been city tap water out of the city of New York or something, and their sites. So again, if you have any final thoughts, we do have maybe about 6 or 8 minutes left in the program here today. 724-438. 4593. Bill, I don't want to beat it with a dead horse, but any final thoughts you have on the Baldwin situation?
And again, is this something people should pay for? You know what it's like. Let's say you own a lawnmower. Lawnmowers are dangerous if they're mishandled, but we get so comfortable using our lawnmower that we get careless, and we don't watch how close our feet get to it, and is that what happened here? Is that they get so comfortable because these are dangerous items. Blanks are explosives, and these are these guns do fire. They may be plugged. But I talked about this on with Kendall the other day. There was a case of a actor, 30 years ago now, named John Eric Hexum, who was playing around with a prop gun and stuck it to his temple and pulled the trigger, thinking that it said, well, this has blanks in it, it can't hurt. It killed him because the concussion from the explosion of the blank crushed in the side of his head. And so these are inherently dangerous. And so, again, what is the penalty for carelessness? Is it involuntary manslaughter? I don't know what charges have been preferred against him yet. I think there are. The DA, I think, has announced there will be criminal charges, but hasn't technically filed them yet, or I haven't really followed the story.
Yeah, I've been unable to read through the exact charges as of this time. On Facebook, that was something that a lot of people were giving us feedback that they thought involuntary manslaughter would probably be correct, and then Facebook, the nature as it will be. I got some real conspiracy theories out there that were trying to tie the female director that was killed to a documentary about Epstein, and that's the reason why it all happened. And Baldwin is the linchpin in a major conspiracy that was trying to silence her before she revealed the truth about Epstein. So
I hope they have a very good time on the grassy knoll. That's all I can say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I mean, it was a horrible accident. I do believe it was an accident. Obviously, I cannot imagine, and I would hope that he is feeling remorseful for it. That's another problem, is that his demeanor after this thing has been so arrogant and so. Yeah.
It was actually an uncomfortable full interview to watch. I know we used an audio clip from that ABC interview. You can find that on YouTube in 2 different parts. They're about 7 minutes or so each. But you can watch that full interview. And from a legal perspective, I wonder if that interview was even right for him to have done at that period of time.
Problematic because it was testimony.
He's entered something into the public record. We do have someone on the line, I believe.
Yeah. Yes, we do. Hi, you're on Commonalities. Who are we speaking with?
This is Arthur.
Arthur, welcome.
I have one question.
Yeah.
Why did he point the gun at her? Why not 5 feet to the left, 5 feet to the right?
Yeah.
Well,
mull that over.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Arthur. Thank you for the call. Yeah. I mean, I think it's carelessness. He probably he didn't realize she was in range.
Well, and from the ABC interview, Baldwin goes into that and said that he was aiming actually just to her left, under her arm, and that she had instructed him because of the shot. She was standing right next to the camera, so he was aiming just off camera, and she had instructed on where to point. Now, regardless of that, I think as the person who has the firearm in hand, you do have some responsibility for safety. Again, any final thoughts on this issue? We thank Arthur for his call, 724-438-4593. We're talking about Alec Baldwin and the charges that he is facing.
Yeah, and you do get comfortable as an actor because you are firing at people. What is it, the old saying, you can't make a Western without a gunfight. Maybe, again, it was just some carelessness or too much comfort with this thing. One thing I guarantee is that they are going to be ratcheting up the gun safety and they would be behooved to get the NRA involved.
And as a responsible gun owner, I would say that this was completely preventable. How the chips may fall now, legally, they've already settled financially in the civil case. There's question as to should he have made statements publicly, should he not have. But regardless of where any of that ends up, I think what we need to remember is that it is a completely preventable tragedy that happened. And so we should be looking at ways to make those sets even safer, not just for the actors and directors and the big people there, but, there's craft service people and everyone else in the background that you have to watch. So we're coming just to the conclusion of our program here today. I want to remind everyone we'll have Kendall on with me, Kendall Sisler, on Thursday during the 11 o'clock hour. We're going to be talking about the woke culture of some corporations. Are they there by choice or by force? And that will be our topic of discussion. I want to thank you for tuning in today to Commonalities on WMBS Radio 590 AM 101.1 FM.
This has been Commonalities, a show where guests find common ground through uncommon conversations. Copyright 2022 Coordinated 360. All public rebroadcasts should be done with prior written approval from Matthew Dowling. All requests should be sent to info@coordinated360.com. Thank you for listening to Commonalities.